Greetings all, Dr. X here, good to see ya. All right, today's video is all about the academic CV. This is especially important for those of you that might be finishing up your PhDs and you're starting to apply for professor positions. So your academic CV will really get you access to the professorate in whole new ways. So the video today is really going to be about what your academic CV should contain as you're applying for those professor positions. All right, let's get started. So an overview of what this video will contain. First of all, I'll talk about the sections that your CV should have in them. And your CV should have an academic history, employment history, scholarship and creative activities, as well as your service and your professional membership. Now, those people that are faculty members that will be evaluating your application and your CV that's contained as part of your application process, they'll be looking for all of these key parts. So we want to make sure they're all in there. I'll also give you an example of a teaching CV, my teaching CV, and then I also have a free template that you can download at the end of this video. All right. So what should your academic history contain? So the first section of your CV, after you include your name and your contact information, should be your academic history. Now, your academic history just basically is all of the degrees and certificates that you've earned. You want to make sure you include all of them, and as you're listing them, you're going to start with your terminal degree first. The degree, your highest level degree. So for most of you, that will be your PhD. You may still need to defend, but it's going to be your PhD. And so your PhD will come first, and then master's degree, any baccalorates you have, bachelor's degrees, and associate degrees should be listed. In this section of academic history is also where I like to have my students list their honors and their awards if they're going to list any. The next section of your CV should be your employment history. Now, the employment history is listed chronologically from your most recent position back in history, right? So you'll list the name and the location of the institution. An example for me would be New Mexico State University, Las Cruces, New Mexico. You'll enter the dates that you worked at that institution, and you'll also include a section with specific courses that you've taught. Now, you can list that in a couple of different ways. You can have a section that just lists the courses that you've taught separately from your work history, or as you're listing your work history, you can put your courses in there. I like to keep mine separate. And then that way they see when I worked at an institution, but then they see all of the courses that I've taught both at the undergraduate and the graduate level. So you're going to list and include all of that information on your CV. Next up, the next section is all about scholarship and creative activities. Now in this section, this is where you'll list all of your scholarly activities. And those scholarly activities include books, book chapters, any kind of book reviews you've done as an undergraduate or graduate student, journal articles you've either written or co-authored, conference proceedings, again, written or co-authored for all of these, technical papers you've written, any grants you've applied for, any presentations you've done. Now, if you are a graduating PhD student, you'll probably have more presentations than you do publications. And that's okay. That's expected. We're expecting that as your applications come through. And so it's absolutely fine to have more of one of these than the other. The expectation for most graduate students that are just graduating with their PhD, the majority won't have a book that they've published or book chapters. They will have book reviews. They may have journal articles that they've co-authored with their committee, for example, their dissertation committee, but maybe not so many on their own. And so that's expected from a new PhD. Next section will be service. So what is the service that you've done while you've been at your institution? Service can be anything from serving on an interview committee or serving on a planning committee for an event. It can be going out and doing community service, but mostly what the faculty will be interested in as they look at your CV is what kind of service did you do to the department? And so in the service area, what you're going to list is all levels of your service. You'll start with professional service, and professional service is service at the national and international level. Any university service that you've done. Were you on, for example, a interview committee or a hiring committee for a dean or a president, right, position to fill those positions? So it's university level service, college level service, in other words, colleges within the university, like the College of Arts and Sciences, College of Education. What service did you do at the college level? Department level, your specific field of study, your department, let's say you're in the psychology department, what service did you do as part of the psychology department? And then community level service with community partners. So let's say your university partners with the city in which your university is located. Did they have a partner community service project that you can list? So that is all that will be contained, all of that information you're going to list in service. And again, as a newer doctoral student, you may have a lot of service, a lot more than publications. That will change once you get a university position, especially if it's tenure track. And then the next section is professional memberships. So you want to list all of the professional organizations that you belong to. Now be sure to list any leadership roles you took while you were in that organization, while you've been in those organizations. That's going to be really key and critical for faculty that are evaluating your application materials as they come through. It shows that you not only became a member, but you also actively participated, and that can help you stand out for some interview committees. And then make sure you list all the years that you've been part of the organization. Now, if you're a graduate student and you don't hold membership in any professional organizations, I'd encourage you to take a look at that. That could be one of those areas where you can improve your CV pretty quickly. Okay, so now I'm going to show you my CV. Okay, this is an example of a CV. This is my CV as I was leaving a tenured associate professorship for an associate vice president's position in North Carolina. Okay, on your CV, you're going to start off with your contact information. Now, this is an old copy of a CD that I'm leaving here for an example. Please don't try and write me at that institution. That email doesn't work anymore. I'm a vice president at an institution in New Mexico now. So first you're going to list your academic history. You're going to list your degrees, the institution where you received that degree, and then what your major or your field of study was, any specializations, and any kind of degree awards, honors that you received for those degrees. So notice I have my degrees here on the left. I have all of the other information on the right. It just makes it easier, in my opinion, for hiring committees to read and review your information. Now, I like to include my honors and awards right up front, but you and your chair may feel like that should be in another part of the CV. I like to include mine right up front. Next up is your employment history. So again, you're going to list the institutions for which you work and then the location, the dates that you work there. Now remember, this is an old CV for me. I have not updated this one, but I just wanted to give you an example of what it could look like. So you list your institutions, the dates you were at the institutions, and what your title was when you were at that institution. As an adjunct instructor or part-time instructor, you need to list all of that as you're applying for positions. Again, if you have roles that you play other than teaching, so here I was an associate professor and a program coordinator for my department. I list that, but then I list the assistant professorship. That was when I was tenure track. Any adjunct work that I did for them, and even if I was an unpaid visiting scholar, I included that information as well. So you include all of your work history. I like to include the section for teaching so that I can tell them what the CRNs were, what the courses were that I taught, course CRNs and titles. And I do that for each institution so they can see that I've taught both graduate level work and graduate level as well as undergraduate. All of my doc students, I list those. Those of you who are graduating as doctoral students, you won't have anything in that section. And then I go on to scholarship and creative activities. I list books, book reviews, book chapters, special issues that I was an editor for of journal articles, peer-reviewed journals. I list all peer-reviewed journal articles. You'll do the same. Any conference proceedings, any kind of technical papers, any video production, grants and sponsored projects, not only the grants I've applied for, but whether they were funded or not. I list that information. Scholarship in progress, that's stuff I'm writing right now. Invited scholarly presentations, anything that you were invited to come and present, anything that was refereed, please be sure to include all of that as presentations. Now, as a doctoral student, you'll probably have more stuff that is more presentations than you do publications, but that's understandable. That's how it's supposed to look. All right, and then you're going to list any service that you've done, service to the profession, manuscript reviewer. That's a great way to get some service on your CV. Service to the university, service to your college. Mine would have been the College of Ed while I was at the university. Service to the department, service to my program, and then service to the community. And finally, professional memberships. And like I said, be sure to list any kind of leadership role you had in those professional organizations that shows that you're willing to go be above and beyond just holding membership by volunteering your time. And committees love seeing that kind of stuff. And that is an example of a CV. Okay, so listen, I've created a template for you. You can use it in order to build your own academic CV. To access it, just click the link. I left a link for you in the description below. Go ahead and click that link and you will get a copy of the CV you can use at your discretion to start building your own CV. All right, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments below, or you can write me, send me an email at womanists, make sure you have the S on the end, at gmail.com. Again, that's womanist@gmail.com. Good luck on getting those CVs together. Thanks so much for watching and have a terrific day.